Um, Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another round of the BUSR Summer Championship. We're here at the Nurburgring today. We're on the short circuit, so we're cutting off that pesky little end part and going right into a really fast-flowing section at the end. It's going to be a really, really fun, exciting race today. So very, very much looking forward to that. We've also got in the commentary box Dan today, who has been joining me for the previous rounds. Dan, what are you looking for today in today's race?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this race. I think, we've got a slightly reduced entry list, which is, part of summer living, I guess. But, it's a short track. It's the chopped off bit. We haven't decided to go absolutely nuts and send them out on the full outer loop, because that would take forever, and 3 laps would take us half an hour. So, we've cut it down, which means that everyone should be nice and close together. There's that chicane near the end, sort of just before the last hairpin, that should be very interesting for overtaking, especially when we have push to pass systems involved, which of course these cars do run.
Yeah, definitely. So, first thing we want to look at is championship standings. We do have a lot of drivers out there today who are in contention for championships, and this round could prove very, very important. I will need to quickly check the standings again, because I've
got them right in front of me. I've got them here. So Josh Woolley, the driver on screen right now, is currently sitting in a very narrow 3rd place after unfortunately missing out on the last round. His lead was savagely cut by his 2 contenders for both overall and student classes, which is Owen Goldsmith and Aidan Larson. Owen and Aidan both present today as well. So these are the 3 cars you can see on screen. Here are your 3 championship contenders: the black and neon car of Josh Woolley, the light blue car of Owen Goldsmith, and then the dark blue and white car in 3rd place there of Aidan Larson. Those are your championship contenders. Those are for overall honours and for student honours, but of course there are other classes involved. So we'll have to see which drivers from those classes are present as well.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, our drivers are going through briefing. That's why all of our cars are parked in the pit lane. But I mean, with such a tight title battle right at the front of the grid, I am eagerly anticipating the end result of this race today. I mean, these cars have proven time and time again that no matter what circuit you throw at them, they can provide some fantastic racing. These are the Audi TT Cup cars. For those who are maybe unfamiliar, or for those who want a quick recap, these are little, I want to say baby touring cars, with about 350-ish horsepower, front wheel drive, and with an onboard push-to-pass system indicated by the LEDs that you might be able to see on the side, just behind where the B pillar is, and in this instance just above the anime girl on the left-hand side of the number 70 car. This will indicate how many push-to-passes the drivers have and will be flashing as they use them. It's during qualifying, I believe it is not active, so it is more about the drivers maximising just the raw performance of the car, and not having any sort of other assistance, shall we say. So, yeah, I mean, these cars have proven in every single round that you can have fantastic racing at any track. We're here at the Nurburgring, very, very historical track as well. It's been hosting car races since the early 1900s. I think the earliest real construction, or the construction of the track, started in 1925, and the ADAC Eiffelrennen races were continued in 1927, where they showed motorcycles and sidecars. These are, of course, slightly different from those, in that, these are little turbocharged, small engine, I think. It's kind of touring cars that, the size of the cars a little bit smaller than a lot of other modern machinery, so even at really tight technical tracks you can still get some really, really good wheel-to-wheel action. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing how our drivers can perform today around the Nordschleife, which I think a lot of our drivers are going to be a bit more familiar with.
Yeah, definitely. Compared to some of the previous tracks you've visited, this is, well, it's definitely the most well known. It's, it's held F1 races. Of course, Interlagos has held F1 races, but nothing is quite as famous as the Nurburgring. We started off at Anglesey all the way back, was it 7 weeks ago now? That is a tiny little circuit on the Welsh coastline. Then we went over to Slovakia Ring and various other places that most drivers won't have driven, but I can guarantee you that every single one of them will have driven here beforehand. This is not a track they will have had to have learned generically. They might have had to learn it for these cars or for front wheel drive or this layout, but certainly this start finish straight into turn one, that is a famous, well-known series of corners is this track. It hosts everything. Some Anglesey that barely hosts modern machinery, let alone anything of note. This thing hosts now, the Nurburgring 24 hours takes place here, where they have cars just like this racing around for 24 hours. We're only going to race for 20 minutes plus one lap because I've got things to do before Tuesday. But yeah, it's a 20-minute race, two of them. Reverse grid for the second race should make for an interesting race now. Briefings, of course, is coming to an end. We should start to see cars going out for qualifying now.
Yeah, a lot of our drivers are already getting out of the pit lane. I believe that's a Ashevi or a Shavi or however you pronounce it. I'm still not great at names. Who first out onto the track on the Nürburgring the sprint circuit. This section of the track, the Mercedes Arena, lots of fast sweeping corners where you really have to use all of the track. Cuts into a very, very tight series of corners. You've got to slow the car down and kind of cut the curbs on the inside as much as you can, opening up that exit down to this hairpin that kind of cuts off this straight, which I believe is called Kurzenbindung or something like that. I don't know. My German still needs a little bit of practice. Coming into the S curves, first through Michelin, the left-hand corner, and then the 90-degree, or I think slightly more than 90-degree right-hander of Warsteiner. Down the back straight they go, flying now under the H&L bridge through Advenbogen, the flat-out right-hander, using as much of the track as they can now. Coming into the NGK chicane now, heavy on the brakes. It's a bit more of a tighter chicane than we're maybe used to seeing running in the GT layout, and through the Coca-Cola curve they go. Now the final corner, kind of open hairpin that leads onto the start-finish straight, completes a lap here of the Nordschleife. Not the Nordschleife, that's the wrong track, of the Nürburgring sprint circuit, as Ashevi is our first driver across the line and will be our first driver to set a proper flying lap.
Yeah, we're going to see lap times drop, of course. In practice earlier, I saw some of the guys right here doing 1 minute 31, so that's sort of what we're looking for, is can we get into the 1 minute 30s, can we even get under the 1 minute 30 margin? That is really what Yeah, so somewhere around the 31 second mark is probably what we're aiming for. We might go quicker, we might go slower, who knows? We'll have to find out how much they abuse track limits, as we see now more and more cars. Everyone's now out on circuit. Of course, this is only a 20-minute qualifying. They've not got a very long time to set laps around here, but they've got enough time to get a good few in.
Definitely. I mean, the track is not very long. It's about 3.6 kilometers, or for those who don't know what a kilometer is, that's about 2.2 miles. So not an awful lot of track to be playing with, but with these cars, I think the drivers should have enough space to kind of find some breathing room during qualifying. Not run into any slower traffic, and hopefully not impede anyone who may or may not be quicker, as we see Aidan Larson fastest in the first half of the track. I believe Assetto Corsa only counts this track as having 2 sections, which I'm used to seeing 3 sectors, so saying 2 sections is a little bit odd to me. Larson coming across the start-finish line, setting a 1 minute 33.1. Wait, is that a 1? Yeah, that is a 1. But I don't think that lap was valid because he's still in 3rd place. Archie O'Leary currently in 3rd, but now demoted to 3rd after Mohammed sets their fastest lap time. Very, very good going from them. But again, this is only the beginning of the qualifying session, so we are definitely going to be seeing some lap times tumble as our drivers take more temperature in their tyres and kind of learn how to maximise the track in these cars.
Yeah, it's definitely going to see that times tumble. That's just how it goes. They're going to set one lap. They're going to think, maybe I can push it a bit more here. Maybe I can push it a bit more there. And then we're going to see accidents here, shall we, coming through the wiggly part of that first half down towards the hairpin that chops off this short layout. Here we see Maris Dallas coming round the final corner to set their first lap time on the board here. It's looking like it's going to be a decent one to come across the line. Just about there, 1 minute 32.5. He rockets them up to second place. Excellent lap from Maris Dallas there. A very initial, we're only 5 minutes in, but that is a good benchmark for them to work from. We've seen most drivers have set lap times, most of them not very representational. Really, you're looking at sort of that top 5 or 6 in terms of representational lap times, but we're going to see drivers.
Yeah, I mean, with no push to pass, that does take off a little bit of the top end that these cars have. So the fastest times that we might have been seeing in practice might not be fully representative of what we'll be getting in qualifying, as we are watching now. I believe this is TRM through the hold on, what's that corner called? Advan Bogen. They're currently leading the open class as they are coming through NGK chicane now. I never noticed we had NSE banners up around the Nurburgring. That's a nice little touch. As TRM is going to be coming down the final straight, setting a time. It's a 36.5. It'll be looking to maybe shave a couple seconds and a couple tenths off of that time if he can, but decent lap from them.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to start seeing those lap times turn off. I've said time and time again, these guys know what they're doing. They can start to push here. Josh Woolley coming through the early stages of the lap. Turn left and then forwards and then hard right. Keeping it pinned, not running too wide, but running just about wide enough that you're okay down towards the hairpin. Josh Woolley, of course, right at the front of this championship battle. Really, he is going to be watching where is Owen Goldsmith and where is Aidan Larson on that leaderboard. Archie O'Leary also scoring very good points throughout the rest of the season here. So these guys are all going to be very close together. They're all going to be watching each other throughout the race. They might, if someone like Mohammed can pull away at the front, they're going to be less fussed about Mohammed at the front than they are about their friends. Well, not friends, but they are friends, but they're also rivals around them. So they're going to have to keep a very close eye on the other drivers now, as we see lap time starting to come down. Everyone's in the 135s in the top, sorry, the 130, well, yeah, 135s or down in the top 10, most of them below that. So it's going to be, can any of the other 4 drivers get in there, and can anybody get into those mystical 131s?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of our drivers are very, very talented. They've gotten a fair amount of experience with these cars. I have heard they are quite fun to drive, but they do require a very different driving style to what a lot of our drivers are used to. And as you had said earlier, really trying to maximise the track and maximise qualifying. It is a lot of trial and error. You've got to figure out where you can push the most. If you realise you can brake a little bit earlier somewhere, or brake a little bit later somewhere, sorry, you can brake a bit earlier, take a bit of a tighter line, throttle earlier. You'll want to kind of think about what you've done. That's one of the key skills of racing, is understanding where you need to maximise your car as much as possible. And I mean, these drivers are really trying to take as much speed through the chicane as possible. I mean, it is going to be a very, very quick lap time here from Alice Dallas as they come across the line. Indeed, it is with a 1 minute 32.231. That's about half a tenth up from Mohammed, who is currently our second fastest driver in the Jet2 Holidays liveried Audi there, who's going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and scrape back that provisional pole position.
Yeah, this is only Maris Dallas' 3rd outing in this series, so a very late start to the series means that championship points-wise, they're quite a long way away, but there is still 40 points for each race win, plus points for qualifying up for grabs. We've got 2 races this Monday, 2 races next Monday out at Donington Park, so there's still a lot of points for play for these guys. So even if they're not thinking about title battles, they might be thinking, I can get a top 10 here overall, I can get a top 5 overall, or a class podium. So even these drivers like Maris Dallas and Mohammed, who are relative newcomers to the series, are still thinking about championship points. They're just maybe not thinking with the same level of stress that Josh Woolley, Aidan Larson, and Owen Goldsmith are having. But yeah, third, fourth, fifth are all, you know, championship contenders. They will also all have ballast with them. A lot of our front running guys are going to be running ballast. Anybody of note, basically, if you've seen one of the past streams and have gone, they did quite well in the previous stream, they've probably got ballast on, ranging from, you know, 5, 10, 15 kilos all the way up to 70, 80 kilos for those heavy front running guys. So that is going to be a massive difference, especially through fast corners. You know, going to try and force the car wide. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, the success ballast acts similarly to how Super GT either does or did, where drivers that perform well will have additional weight added to their car to try and equalise the playing field, so that the faster drivers will have a heavier car to work with, which in theory should push everyone quite close together. And I mean, we have seen some surprise victories and some really solid performances from various drivers. Currently our heaviest weighted driver in terms of ballast is Aidan Larson, who's currently has the third fastest time, but has 75 kilograms of ballast. That's basically like having another person sat in the passenger seat of the car. As we see Owen Goldsmith, they haven't really improved in the first sector. It is a yellow, which I believe not a personal best, but he will be looking to improve as much as he can anywhere. Coming through the NGK chicane now, again, trying to scrub as little speed off as possible in these cars is so important. You know, you don't really have that much downforce. You're relying a lot on mechanical grip and just trying to keep up that minimum speed as Goldsmith flies across the line. It's a 1 minute 32.497, a slight improvement, but stays in P5.
We have a new pole position there from Aidan Larson, provisional pole, 1 minute 32.209, just scraping under Maristella. So all of our talk about ballast and slowing people down, putting a level playing field, and Aidan Larson goes, absolutely not, gentlemen, and promptly puts it straight onto pole position here. But Mohammed is coming up to the line, green in sector 1, and there is another one. We've gone into the 131 to 131.949 for Mohammed, puts him on provisional pole. There we go, just as I was saying it, commentators curse Aidan Larson back down to second place. This means that it's going to be very close as we go into the race. Obviously there is a lot of pace here for the front running guys. That ballast is a problem, but not a massive problem here. So we see Ashavi coming down here with the yellow sector 1 around the final corner, but coming across the line. Is there going to be any improvement in the second half of the lap? Crossing the line, jumps up to 5th place for Ashavi there, half a second clear of their previous best, 132.463. They will be now looking to Josh Woolley ahead, who is a tiny slither of a second ahead of them. That is an amazing lap from Ashavi in that BWT livery. Anyone wondering, that is not a Force India tribute, that is a tribute to an old World Rallycross Audi S1. Just in case you were wondering, I made that mistake earlier on in the stream and was promptly corrected, and very rightly so, but it is not a Force India car. That would be silly, it's an Audi. But yes, excellent lap from Ashavi, puts them right in the middle here. One of the series' longest running drivers, been here since absolute day one, as opposed to other drivers who've joined later on, and running wide on the grass there. That's the slap over for Ashavi, really. Let's be honest, we've seen lots of cars around circuit now. Everyone's still currently going around as fast as they can, trying to set the best laps. You've got to be thinking about tactical plays here as well. We see on the track map in the right there are pairs of drivers. Is the one in the back there trying to think about a slipstream? Maybe they are, maybe that's what they're doing. They're just trying to hope that there's some sort of extra power to be gained coming down that big long back straight through the fast right-hander there towards the now, yeah, lots of drivers setting faster laps across the board here, but are very, very varied, as some of them pulling out of the way there. Nope, just abusing track limits, because it's Assetto Corsa, and we can do that. You see there, very little wind affecting the drivers. Here we have Archie O'Leary, green in sector 1 of 2, hard on the brakes through the chicane, just got the hairpin to go. The Coca-Cola curve, here he comes, hooks it in on the right. Powering through, powering, there we go, flat to the floor, coming down the home straight towards the finish line, and he's going to cross the line there to break the beam, 110.
So that is an improvement in his time. Might have not his position though. That is a 33.2, decent lap from him, but he is going to want to try and get his time down as much as possible. Mohammed, our only driver as of now, coming into the 1 minute 31 to the 31.9. A lot of other drivers are probably going to be looking at that time and being like, ooh, maybe, I don't know, it is possible. Mohammed has shown it's definitely possible to push the track that hard, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what other drivers can do. Maris Dallas with a purple first sector with a 43.9, breaking the beam coming into the Michelin curve. Through Warsteiner they go now, using all of that track, that kind of painted green runoff on the exit there. Coming through Ad Van Borgen they go, absolutely flat out blasting it up to the NGK chicane, trying to slow the cars down, but using all of that track, absolutely monstering the curb, but looks like they might have just gone off there. Went a bit rallying right at the end, and that is unfortunate for Maris Dallas. Just unsettled the car on the inside curb. He's going to have to go back again and try it one more time.
Yeah, obviously everyone is pushing to their absolute limit. James White green in the first half of the lap. This is only a 2-sector lap time because we've decided to chop the bottom bit off because it's boring and we don't need it. Here we go, the much more notable Audi livery here of the Audi Quattro, sort of yellow and white style. They're running it right up to the grass, but not going, tribute running there through the grass, down that big back straight, maybe giving a total car behind, probably not, given how little aero, given how slow these cars are. I think they'll be okay. But yeah, green sector 1 for James White here, coming up towards the chicane, braking, turning through here. Will they get an improvement? Currently sitting in 8th place. Would like to aim higher. Some cars higher up in the pit lane, just having a little think before they come back out for their last runs. James White coming through the last corner, brakes absolutely glowing there, working this car to its absolute limit, putting all 310 horsepower to the floor, coming up to the line underneath the BMW bridge. James White jumps up to 4th place. That is a 4th place for James White. 132.267, just behind Maris Dallas. Leading the alumni class there, James White. Excellent performance from him when it's all on the line in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. And with so many different drivers in contention, I mean, qualifying is going to be very, very important. James White currently sitting on a 32.2. Even just an improvement of about 600ths of a second could get him onto the front row of the grid. We're watching Wooly now, who is in contention for the, I believe it is the student and overall championship. Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see.
Yes, Josh Woolley definitely, was leading student class, had to miss last round out, is now a mere 23 points behind. You might be thinking 23 points, that's a massive amount of points, not in touring car racing. It's 40 points for a race win, plus points for fastest lap and for qualifying. So that is a very, very small gap. He's only 4 points behind Owen Goldsmith. 4 points, that is nothing there. As we see Josh Woolley aboard this lap to have another go with only 3 minutes left on the clock. This has been a thrilling qualifying session. Epic wiggling there from Maris Dallas to one of his tyres as James White comes around the last corner. Was improving, doesn't seem to be any more now. James White coming across the line. Is it going to be any better? Yellow sector 1, sector 2. It's green but not green enough.
Yeah, very, very slightly behind his previous best time. There's definitely time in it. I mean, we saw him improve in that second sector, so he's definitely going to be hunting for another one. And I mean, this is going to be very, very interesting to see which of our drivers can maximise their performance right now. Most of our drivers, I think if not all of them, are out right now. Some of them might be making some last-minute setup changes with just about 2.5 minutes left in the qualifying session, as we see Hughes going lawn mowing there through Warsteiner, pulls off the track and does a little bit more grass cutting as White is coming through Mercedes Arena and trying to use all of the track.
Yeah, this qualifying is really, really close. If you need proof of that, well, again, you ignore Mohammed. Look at that, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. They're all sort of in that 132.23, 0.2, maybe even 0.4. Look at that. The top 10 split by 0.126 of a second. If you ignore Mohammed, split by 1 second there. So it's a very, very tight qualifying, which bodes very, very well for a race, which will be coming up shortly after qualifying. Just 2 minutes of this session to go now. James White everyone's going to have a look at one really good lap to go. Unless they're on a push lap now, they're going to struggle to get 2 more in. But yeah, it's going to be a very close session come the end of it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the gap between P2 and P3 is absolutely tiny. I mean, it's P2 and P5 even. There's only 600ths in it. Maristalis currently 4th position, but has a purple first sector. This is going to be very, very close at the top of the table. Maristalis is coming through through Advan Bogen, losing a little bit of time. Not a very solid run through the S's. The energy chicane. This is going to be where the lap is either made or broken. Relatively clean run through there, using the curb on the exit to kind of stop the car running off the track. Maristalis through the final corner, using up all the track. There's a car parked on the right-hand side. Can't park there, mate, but Maristalis can't improve. Unfortunate for them, P4. They've reset to the pit lane, and I don't think they're going to get another lap from that one. Aidan Larson, one of our other front runners, is looking to improve. Currently, Mohammed, the only driver in the 1-minute 31s. Larson with a 32.1. He's got about 2/10 to make up. He seems to be relatively even. Maybe a small improvement in the first section of the track. As we come through the S's now, it looks like Larson might have just ran a little bit wide there. I don't know if that still counts or not, but I mean, I think it might still be a counting lap. He might have just kept it within the track limits, which is really how you're meant to drive these cars. You want to push them to the limit as much as you can. Wow, there you go, pushing it past the limits a little bit there, bouncing over the curb on the inside of the NGK chicane, and that is second place for Larson, unless any of the drivers behind can put up any sort of a fight. Goldsmith seems like that is a no from him. Woolley coming through the Mercedes arena and down into Kurzenbindung, that right-hander to cut off the bottom section of the GP striker. It's a very, very tight corner. You really need to get the run through it. Very, very good. Through Michelin they go now, using the inside to kind of turn the car a little bit, and through Warsteiner there's a little bit of camber, I think, on the inside to help turn the car around. So really just carrying as much speed through the corner as possible. Advan is very easy to take flat out. It's not a very tight corner at all. The NGK chicane, again, this is where laps are made or lost. You've got to hit that right-hand curb in just the perfect way. That was not it from Josh Woolley. Unsettles the car, goes straight on into the barrier, and that is qualifying over for him. But that is Mohammed in the Jet2 Holidays car on pole position. They say nothing beats a Jet2 Holiday. Mohammed proves that by putting their car on pole position. It's Aidan Larson alongside with Owen Goldsmith completing the top three, with Maristalis finishing off the second row, followed by White, Woolley, Ashavi, Butsy, Hughes, and O'Leary, rounding off your top 10, with Kenjack, Justman NG, TRM, and They Don't Know in P14, rounding off the grid.
Yeah, it's a very, very close qualifying. If you ignore Mohammed, the second, third, fourth, fifth, all nose to tail. So we're looking forward to close racing when that comes. And just remember that our championship leaders are right there at the sharp end of this grid, as they should be, really. Aidan Larson, Owen Goldsmith, Josh Woolley, all right there or thereabouts. Aidan Larson comes in with a slight advantage over Owen and Josh, but that is your overall class win. Of course, other drivers fighting for their own titles up and down the grid. It's going to be a really good race, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be super, super interesting to see what our drivers are capable of. And with Mohammed on the front row, I mean, they've shown some serious promise in the last few races. You know, they've put in some solid performances, and to see them on pole position, I mean, it's setting up this first race perfectly for them. So as long as they can get a really decent start, I think we could see some really, really good racing from these drivers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that he's on pole there is already a credit. This is very early on in his career in this championship. I mean, it's only 7 rounds for everyone else, but, you know, right at the start here, we just see these wonderful cars sporadically lined up down the grid. I'm guessing the front three must smell or something, given their size back to the fourth car in this line, but never mind that. They're in all their stunning various colours, and if you want to join the grid, then you can join. We've got one more round to come this time next week. If you're watching this live, then you're free at this time of day, so why not come and join us? We've got one more round at Donington. Come and find us on the internet at BUSR. Join on. We've got other races all throughout the week. Yeah, we'd love to have you, whether that's on circuit, on stream, broadcasting with me and Frey here, or behind the scenes, whatever it is. There's a role for you if you go looking for it, so feel free to join in.
Yeah, BUSR is an awesome community full of really, really quick drivers and a lot of just really nice people. You know, without BUSR, I don't think I'd be where I am today. And I don't mean that in a soppy way. I mean, literally, I don't think I would be driving for the racing team that I drive for, or even commentating over these races. So if you want to find yourself a platform to start your sim racing journey, I'd say BUSR is a fantastic place to start. And you can find us and many more communities through Grid Finder, who have been a really, really awesome group of people to have, helping you find your people, and hosting lots of different communities in lots of different sims. I mean, if you can name a racing sim, there's probably a community that uses it in Grid Finder. So head on to Grid Finder and feel free to join BUSR as well while you're on busr.gg/discord. Come say hi, come join in the races. We've got plenty of series running at the moment. We've got F1 on Saturdays, and I think we have some iRacing action as well, with the potential for even more series some point in the future.
Yeah, definitely. If there's a game you wanna run now, you can come and find us on Grid Finder. So the advert will be running very shortly to show you off the wonderful power of Grid Finder. But I think we can get ready for our formation up there. The car's teleporting on.
All right, here we are for the seventh round at the Nurburgring sprint circuit in the Eifel region of Germany. They call this the Green Hell. Mohammed currently P1, Larson in second place, rounding off the front row of the grid. Goldsmith in third place with a really, really decent qualifying from them. Maristalis putting in a really good performance, finishing P4. White in P5, with Josh Woolley in P6. They'll be hoping to scrape up some more points today. Ashravi in P7, followed by Butsy in 8th. Alex Hughes in 9th place in the... Oh, something's happened there. Okay. Please ignore the camera malfunction there. Alex Hughes in P9 with Archie O'Leary in 10th position. We've got Kerjak in 11th, Justman NG in 12th, PRM in 13th, and They Don't Know rounds off the grid down in P14. We're up for two solid races here at the Nurburgring sprint circuit. Let's not forget the second race will have a reverse top 10 with the starting positions determined from the results of this race that we are about to see. The Nurburgring has constantly been a fantastic host for racing, and I'm excited to see what our drivers can do today.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting ready here. The clock is ticking down before the first race. My prediction, I don't know, it depends whether the championship leaders are going to be able to not focus on each other too much and chase after Mohammed, but I think Aidan Larson and Owen Goldsmith will start tripping over each other, so I'm going to go for Mohammed for race 1.
As we go now to 4 red lights coming on for the start of this race. It's lights out and away we go for round 7 of the BUSR Audi Cup Series. Mohammed getting a really, really decent getaway. It's pretty even all the way down the grid. Woolley seeming to get a really decent overtake on Ashravi there. Mohammed leading into the first corner. We're going 2x2 a little bit further back. Ashravi looking to the outside. Mohammed holds the lead relatively well, positions the car very well. Goldsmith going a little bit wide. James White now looking alongside him. There's lots of contact towards the back of the grid. Well, that's Justman NG who's been punted off the track there. Unfortunate for them, they don't know. Also, in the background, I think, having a bit of contact early on in the race, O'Leary dropped down. He's been one of the drivers that I think maybe got caught out by that contact. He's now looking up the inside of TRM into the hairpin. Really, really solid move there. Gets the car positioned just right as TRM's looking for a bit more of a move into the Michelin curve. Can't make that happen around the outside, I'm afraid, as O'Leary takes P10. Lots of battles happening up and down the grid. Goldsmith currently in third place. The gap towards the front opening up a little bit more as we see a little bit more fighting further back down the grid. As we've got, I think that's White making a move on Hughes. I mean, a lot of our drivers, they're just having a bit of trouble navigating the track with Maris Dallas looking around the outside of Goldsmith, but can't make that move stick just yet.
Yep, here we go. Lap time starting to be set on the board. Of course, those are from a dig, so there's not really much representation information in there. But remember, push to pass is working in this race. There's a little number just behind the B pillar, behind the driver. There you go. The 13 showing on the side of White's car there is how many push to passes James White has as one of the cars there. Goes very, very deep there for O'Shavy, losing out on sixth place. James White going up there. So must have got wrong on the brakes there for O'Shavy, who's cutting back across, and contact getting knocked around there. Josh Woolley sneaking back through. Alex Hughes sneaking through there as O'Shavy gets turned around, drops from sixth to, well, basically right at the back there in a matter of seconds. A disappointing move there for that pink car. As we see there's battling going on towards the front. Maris Dallas on the inside of Owen Goldsmith. This is for third and fourth. That's Will Butsey. Never mind, that's for fourth and fifth. Goldsmith fighting Butsey. They're very close battling. No sticker on the rear window of the name. They're very unhelpful. As Butsey has another move back up the inside of Goldsmith there. That is championship contender Owen Goldsmith losing out places to Will Butsey, who's very much not in overall title contention.
Yeah, I mean, it was relatively well held from Asherby. They didn't have like a full spin. There was definitely a lot of opposite lock going on there, trying to stop the car from spinning round. It was very well held. I think Asherby can definitely put through a decent comeback drive. We've seen they've put in some really, really decent performances throughout the season. We've got our camera on the left-hand side looking at the rear wing of Butsey with Goldsmith slowly but surely making the chase behind as we see the timing screens light up purple. Maris Dallas currently at the hold of the fastest lap of the race. Goldsmith really trying to use that slipstream as much as possible, but it's not going to be enough into the first corner. Again, one of the big strategy points is when to use the push to pass. Do you use it to defend? Do you use it to attack? And more importantly, at what points do you use it? Goldsmith taking the NASCAR line there through the Mercedes arena. I mean, he's going to continue pushing. Top 5 finishes, decent for Goldsmith, but he knows, he's capable of a podium. He managed that third place finish, I think, during qualifying. So he's going to be hoping to get back onto the podium by the end of the race.
Yeah, knowing Goldsmith is going to be solely focused on Josh Woolley and, well, yeah. Speaking of Josh Woolley, there he is. This is the guy that lost out probably the most off the start there. Asherby did as well. Archie O'Leary lost out, but Josh Woolley lost out a lot. He is down in 8th place. The title that he held not 1 week ago is now slipping away from him as Aidan Larson, championship leader, up in 2nd place. Josh Woolley down in 8th. He needs to get a wiggle on. He needs to get a move on. He needs to get back up there, right up to the front there. Mohammed could be running away from Aidan Larson behind, or at very least trying to. Goldsmith and Josh Woolley both could be chasing after him here as we come towards the chicane. Mistake from the leader in the mini count there. Just spotted it there. Down to 3rd place for Mohammed. The Jet 2 plane has careened off the road there. Is now down to 4th place as Butsey sneaks past. Will Goldsmith also have a look?
Yeah, not the best landing there. I think maybe just turning in slightly too early. Goldsmith looking for a bit of a gap that's not there. We're nearly going 3 wide into the first corner as I think that is a lock-up on the brakes from Mohammed. Very well held to not get any contact there. Sandwiched between 2 cars, locking the brakes. Manages to not make any serious contact, but as impressive as that is, they've fallen down from battling to the front, down to battling for fourth place as Mohammed makes a lovely move up the inside of Goldsmith there, as Will Butsey is now going to be seeing the Jet2 Holidays car in his rear view, and he's going to be trying to defend from him as much as possible, but that might bring Goldsmith back into contention, who's looking for a move up the inside. Can't get the car alongside there, but Goldsmith making his presence known in the mirrors of Mohammed.
Yeah, definitely. This race is getting much, much closer now. As we see that top 3 or 4 starting to spread out, but then 4th down to 6th is very, very much an open battle right now. Aiden Larson is the big winner in all of this. He's just being handed the championship on a plate. Still 1 round to go, so we can't relax yet, but massive point gaps are going to be starting to be formed there over Goldsmith and especially Josh Woolley, who's still down in 8th here. But Mohammed, really the biggest loser, was on pole position there as we get running wide from Will Butsey up ahead. Very, very, very wide there. It's going to lose out on that podium place. Loses out to Mohammed back on the podium. Owen Goldsmith also up the inside. That's going to scrope his run all the way down to turn 1. James White alongside him. Can he get past on the right up against the pit wall there from 3rd place? Mohammed side by side. James White, we had contact around there. James White just getting through on Will Butsey there. Not the smoothest of moves.
Yeah, I mean, and that's Woolley. That's Woolley who's had some sort of mistake. I think there might have been a little bit of contact there with some of the cars behind. But with Woolley just going off the track, able to keep the car going. But now he's got Archie O'Leary looking up his inside to try and take P8. The tyres are going to be dirty. They're going to be cold. Well, maybe not cold, but they're definitely going to have a little bit less grip than the cars behind, at least for a couple of corners. So that could be enough to just give the cars behind some encouragement to maybe make that move. I mean, it's easy enough to make a mistake around here. There's not a lot of runoff at some of these corners. I mean, I say that. This corner, Michelin curve, plenty of runoff to use, but some of these other corners are a lot less forgiving. Butsey is holding P5 with James White just behind in P6, looking to make any sort of move that they can, using that slipstream all the way up to the NGK chicane, with Goldsmith still chasing down Mohammed. The gap sitting around 0.4 of a second. He's going to be hoping he can get a really good run on the car ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to see the cars pulling off into different little pairs here. The top 2, then the next 2, and then Butsey and White here. Well, can Butsey breach the gap? Fastest lap of the race goes to Aiden Larson at 1 minute 32 dead. We are already getting back into qualifying pace. Remember, these cars now laden up with all that delicious, smelly fuel, just meaning they're going to be slightly heavier. Those lap times will obviously come down, but we have got push to pass now active. Here we have Ashavi, one of the big losers of this race so far, down in 10th place, looking ahead to the Archie O'Leary and Josh Woolley, 3 drivers that really should not be this far back in the top 10. Just shows how close this racing is and how much contact we've had. I've had contact here between James and Will. This is dirty racing from those two machines. Alex Hughes has snuck up into 5th place there. Lovely little move from that black and yellow car just to kind of benefit from that contact. This is touring car racing. Rubbing is racing, but we'd rather you didn't try and punt each other off. We're not NASCARs. We are Audis. They are not NASCARs. Here we go with this mega battle here. Alex Hughes leading James White, Owens Goldsmith in that battle. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th round the hairpin. Then back up the hill, running very wide there for Alex Hughes. Yes, very, very wide there.
Yeah, not fantastic from them getting the left-hand tyres dirtied a little bit, which might give White a little bit of impetus. I think maybe Hughes is feeling the pressure from behind. He's already hugging that kind of right-hand side of the track into this flat-out right-hander. Ideally, you want to be as far left as you can to open it up as much as possible in GT3. White looking around the outside, and there is contact between the two. White punted off there by Hughes, the two going side by side into the NGK chicane. 2 into 1 does not go, and White unfortunately losing out lots of positions from that. He's now down in a P10. He's got all that work to do once again as we are approaching the second half of this race, as we've got Goldsmith looking up the inside of Hughes into the first corner. The hairpin really rewards late braking moves and just getting up the inside. There's not really a lot that they could do. Goldsmith managed to make that move, but Aiden Larson currently leading the way. He's got Maristalis just behind in 2nd place. About 0.6 is the gap. We've seen Larson be a really, really strong performer through these last couple of races. Got really unlucky in the previous round, losing out due to some previous incidents that you know, I think we're just a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But right now, it seems like he's getting himself in all the right positions at all the right times. With Maristalis just about 7/10ths behind, Larson is still going to be trying to keep him behind as much as possible.
Yeah, just having a look at championship results, Aidan Larson has not been on the podium for quite a while, actually, not since round 3, but has just been scoring very consistent points, whereas other drivers around him have missed rounds or had big incidents and not scored any points, hence why he is leading the championship here. As we see another championship contender, Josh Woolley, sniffing the back of Alex Hughes' Audi, their fastest lap of the race to Aidan Larson, but right now we're focusing on this battle for 5th and for 6th. Got to imagine there'll be some push to pass going on down this big, long, main straight here. Josh Woolley pulls out of the slipstream, side by side, just about a bumper ahead, maybe a front tyre as well as we come down towards turn 1. There we go, sweeps around, easy overtake there for Josh Woolley on the push to pass system to take it up to P6, getting a little tap in the rear there, pushed him slightly wide, but not wide enough for it to be a problem. Not the cleanest of braking there from Alex Hughes. Josh Woolley sitting now, got a gap ahead, and he can see Owen Goldsmith. This is big for his race. He is only 4 points ahead of Owen Goldsmith in the overall standings. So getting that close to his title rival is going to be a massive boost to his morale after a, let's say, less than optimal first lap.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a tumultuous first lap from him. He's looking to close the gap. I believe the gap is sitting around 1 point at the moment. So really trying to get as many points as possible. Really going to pay off. Our drivers, I think, have 15 push to passes in this race. So as we approach the second half, I think we might see some more aggressive moves from some of our drivers who'll be using up the rest of their push to pass system. We can see Goldsmith, the number on the LED flashing, I think only has 4 push to passes left as we approach the final 7 minutes of this race. He's just trying to build a gap to the cars behind so they don't have his slipstream. He's trying to force them to do the same thing, use their push to pass to get closer to him. With only 4 remaining and plenty of laps still to go, Goldsmith might have to watch his mirrors, but as long as he can, make it through the rest of the race without making too many mistakes, he's going to be able to finish a solid top 5. But it's all going to be about remaining consistent and keeping on with that strategy. Some of our other drivers also not a lot of push to passes left. I think most of our drivers have actually used up the most of their push to passes by now. It seems like a lot of our drivers have only 4 remaining, which will be definitely used sparingly in these last few laps. It's a big part of the strategy. When do you put as much power down as possible as Xavi looks up the inside of Hughes? Doesn't make the move. He's not got the wheel alongside yet, but he is making himself known. He's getting in his mirrors. He's trying to get in his head. Racing, not only is it about your actual pace, but you kind of have to get into the head of the driver ahead and just kind of slowly but surely pile on that pressure. And it looks like it's worked as Hughes goes wide, Ashavi up the inside. This is going to be a really decent move into the NGK chicane.
Here we go, side by side into the chicane there. Pink on yellow and black, side by side. No, Bales just at the last second there. Xavi holding the position from Hughes, but does that make them vulnerable to James White behind? He's having a look at the inside. Will we see the attempt? The cars are side by side, inside line for the white and yellow car over the black and yellow car. Up on the power, fastest lap of the race for Josh Woolley, side by side. Here down at the lower end of the top 10. Still points on offer for these drivers side by side. White coming through here. Remember, the reverse grid is going to affect this lot more than it's going to affect the rest of them because Archie O'Leary will currently be on pole position. There he goes, James White past Alex Hughes, just getting the position, now going to go and chase after Xavi.
Yeah, again, the reverse grid pole is definitely going to be helpful, but you want to maximise as much as you can your points scored in both of these races. I think both races are worth the same amount of points. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, they are. So, even getting the reverse grid pole here might not be brilliant for getting points from this race, but for the next one, it's definitely putting you in a decent position. We've seen how much the reverse grid has shaken up some of the previous races. I think, if I'm reading that correctly, does Alex Hughes have 8 push-to-passes remaining with only 4 minutes left of the race? It seems like it. Or is that a 0? It is hard to tell.
I believe it's an 8, which is a lot of push-to-pass. That is definitely...
It is an 8. That is definitely an 8.
That'll mean that they are going to be absolutely flooring it down these straights towards the end of the race here. Josh Woolley now thinking about that. He's got 6 push-to-passes. Owen Goldsmith doesn't have that many. He's got under 4. Mohammed set the fastest lap of the race there. That Jet2 Holidays car is starting to fly. And no, neither of the commentators will apologise for our massive overuse of aeroplane puns when talking about this car for the rest of the season. 5 push-to-passes on his car. He's going to go and chase up to Maris Dallas there. That rear wing, yes, pun intended, sticking the rear of the car down here through the Mercedes Stadium section of the circuit down towards the hairpin.
Yeah, Mohammed does not need anyone to hold his hand as he's going to be pushing as hard as he can through the final couple of laps of this race. Just about 4 minutes left. He's got about 4 seconds to the leader, and I believe he has 4 push-to-passes remaining. No, that's a 5. I can't read. As through these couple of corners are going to go, pushing as hard as possible. Ashravi just behind James White. It looks like O'Leary's making a move on Hughes up the inside of the hairpin, using that inside curb to try and turn the car. It's now going to be around the outside of Michelin. Manages to just about get the car past, but I think goes off the track, and through Washsteiner they go now. Hughes looking for a bit of an up and under. Through into Advan they go, up the inside of the flat out corner, using that push to pass as much as they can, making the move on O'Leary, coming into the NGK chicane. O'Leary, I think, retaliating with a bit more push to pass, but I think ultimately just has to let him go. Hughes up into P9.
Yeah, at this point, tactics with push to pass start to really go out the window because you've only got 2.5 minutes left, 2, 3, 4 laps maybe, depending on your pace and the car you're in. Of course, these ones doing 1 minute 30 something lap time, so not too long to go in the race now. Still nose to tail for Archie O'Leary and Alex Hughes. Push to pass definitely on offer for both drivers, but not too many, so they've got to think sparingly, but also they've got to get past. 2 to go there for Archie O'Leary. He makes the move at the inside, runs very, very, very deep there. Going to compromise into turn 2. Hughes sweeps back around there. Archie O'Leary fighting valiantly over 9th place here. And oh wow, he's running very wide from Josh Williams. We see Owen Goldsmith is now basically invisible behind Will Buttsey's car there. Will Buttsey races Honda Civics in real life. Owen Goldsmith is in the student class, so obviously he can't afford to, because that's what student living is like. He's having a move up the inside. No, he's not. He's thinking second about it because he sees Josh Woolley behind. He knows if he makes a mistake, then all that hard work to keep Josh Woolley behind will be completely pointless. And so he'll go lawn mowing while Josh Woolley sails past to claim those points and hopefully reignite his championship fight. Aidan Larson, though, is running away with this.
Yeah, Larson has put in a really, really strong performance, was just able to keep his nose clean at the start of the race, and has just kind of been quietly plodding along at the front of the grid. He's built up a gap of nearly 2 seconds to Maris Dallas ahead, as we will be approaching, I believe, this might be the final lap of the... well, not the final lap. There's going to be this one and one more after it. As Larson now sets the fastest lap of the race. That's a 1 minute 31.805. Almost like a benchmark to try and entice our other drivers to push as hard as they can. They'll all be hearing just how quick Larson's able to push this car, and they'll be thinking, well, I'm going to have to push just as hard as we approach the final minute of this race. Larson with 2 push-to-passes remaining. And I think he's just going to be banking them to just in case anything happens, and if not, he's going to be just blasting as much as he can. They don't know currently just ahead of Larson as lapped traffic. This could throw a proverbial spanner in the works, as navigating lap traffic. It's a very, very important skill to have. And Larson has plenty of experience in lots of other sim races that I've seen him take part in, lots of endurance, so he definitely has that experience of getting past those slower cars. Larson might... well, it's all about hoping that you can catch them at the right time, and most importantly that you can get by them without ruining your own race, and hopefully without ruining theirs as well. Larson could even use one of his push-to-passers to try and get by this lapped car.
Yeah, the clock has just hit 0 there, so we are now in overtime. One more lap to go. This is a 20-minute plus 1 lap race. Larson using the slipstream of the back marker. He is a racing driver through and through, pushing for maximum time there. Maris Dallas just behind. Got to be thinking, damn, why did their back marker actually help him get through? I've been trying to get past that blue car all race long, and then we get a back marker and he helps him out with a slipstream. Now Aidan Larson is championship leader, running maximum ballast of 70 plus kilos on that car, like having a whole other human being in the car with you, which might not sound like a lot, but if you've ever tried to carry 75 kilos while running a marathon, it's quite a lot of weight.
Definitely. And I mean, while this is a sprint race, I mean, in the car, it does not feel sometimes it doesn't feel like 20 minutes, sometimes it only feels like 10. It really just depends on how much how much stress you're under during this race, as we are kind of in the overtime section now. TRM has Justman NG looking for a move around the outside of the final hairpin, gets bundled a little bit wide, not really any room for him to make the move there. Justman NG might be using a little bit of push to pass, if I can see it there. If not, he's using that slipstream to try and pull himself closer. TRM is out of any push to passes, goes very, very deep, it looks like, into the first hairpin. But ultimately, one driver who has been able to really pull everything together, Aidan Larson, crosses the finish line, wins the first race in round 7. Fantastic performance there. And as well as that, purple lap on that final run through, another 31.8. Maris Dallas in second place, just behind him. Mohammed rounding off the podium, landing quite successfully in the top 3. Butsy manages to get his Audi into P4. It's not a Honda, but it's similar enough. He's been putting in really solid performances. Olin Goldsmith in 5th place, followed by James White in P6, Ashavi in P7 in the BWT Audi. Looking very, very snazzy there. Hughes in the yellow and black Audi, finishing P8, followed by Archie O'Leary in the University of Liverpool car in 9th. Then it's Kenjack in 10th place, rounding off the top 10, followed by TRM, Justman NG, and I believe They Don't Know is our final finisher. He'll be the last driver. No, he won't. Justman NG will be the last driver to cross the grid, because he hasn't been lapped, I believe.
Yeah, I've had a sudden disappearance of one of our drivers there. Josh Woolley appears to have disappeared from the race. No idea what's happened to him. I'm sure we'll find out at some point in the future. But yeah, didn't cross the line from Josh Woolley, is what we're hearing from the race organisers. That means there will be no points for Josh Woolley, and his title fight is very, very much on the rocks there. That would be a lot of points lost for the driver. So we'll have to see what happens there. We'll get back to you when we find out more.
Yeah, probably an internet issue. I mean, one big thing that differentiates sim racing from, real car racing is you don't have to worry about internet connections when you're racing physical cars. Of course, you do have you are at the mercy of your service provider, the Assetto Corsa servers. There are many more moving parts in sim racing that I think you don't really have any control over. I mean, there's also hardware failures in real motorsport, I suppose, but different in sim racing. There's lots of technical things that can go wrong, and that might have been what Woolley's experienced in this race. Might have just had some sort of problem, and we've not been able to see it.
Yeah, so just hearing now that Owen and Will Butsy suddenly jumped as Josh was going into the chicane. So and I directly quote him, went to the moon. He's too unstable for race 2 in terms of internet connection. That may be his weekend. Well, I say weekend, it's a Monday. Maybe his Monday and over. And with that will be the championship. Aidan Larson gains a whopping 40 points on him. The gap was already 20 points. That puts it at a 60-point gap. That is a very hard to bridge gap when Aidan Larson is already dominating, even with maximum ballast.
Yeah, as I've said, I mean, internet is always an issue when you're sim racing. I've had friends of mine who've been leading in endurance races, 6-hour races, and just had random cut-offs of internet, which have, pushed them back loads of positions, lots of time. Everything it can just go wrong in the blink of an eye, and it's completely out of your control. So I've got a feel for Wooly here. I mean, it's a very big loss, as we are going to be coming into our second race. Yeah, and if he can't rejoin, we will see about getting him in for an interview just to kind of have a chat with him, get his thoughts on things. As we can see, 14 of our drivers are here. Wooly looks like he's actually rejoined, so whether his connection will be stable enough for the second race, we don't know, but I think this means he'll be starting in last for the second race of this weekend. Yes, because technically he didn't finish, which then means he starts last in this one. So yeah, so since he didn't finish properly, doesn't score points from where he finished, I think he might have a chance of scoring some points. He gets 3 points for 14th. So in this final race of this round, what happens here? We have Konjak, I can't really read the Kenjaku into reverse grid pole, who I don't know if I've seen him much around the around these races, but here we are on the grid now. Got about 2 minutes before the start of the race. Let's just take you quickly through the grid and walk you through the drivers. First, we've got Kenjaku in first place, reverse grid pole, finished 10th in the first race, and is now going to be looking to defend as many positions as they can. O'Leary really put up some decent fight in second place there. Hughes starting in third, unable to make many moves in the last race. White starting in fourth with Ashavi in fifth. Goldsmith in sixth place. Butsy in seventh. Mohammed in eighth. Maris Dallas in ninth. And Larson, our last race winner, starting in 10th place. Going to have a tricky challenge to get back up to the front of the grid. TRM in 11th place. Justman NG in 12th. Josh Woolley, I believe, is starting in 13th, since he finished a lap ahead of They Don't Know, who is at the back of the grid. It looks like from the timing tower we've had another disconnect from someone. So that it was Justman NG. They're now back. Excellent. Magic. I'm really excited to see this second race. I mean, this sprint circuit is a lot wider than some of the other tracks we've seen these cars race on. It's been really, really good so far for promoting racing, and with this kind of shaken up grid for the second race, I'm very, very excited to see what other action we have in store for race number 2 of round number 7.
Definitely, we're going to see very much close racing. The clock under 30 seconds now. The drivers getting ready. Look at these lovely shots of the ambulance there, of course. Crucial for any real-world racetrack. We don't need ambulance. There's also a van and some posters, and there's a TV van that says it's got the BUSR logo on it. Look at that. Free Jet 2 holidays offered inside our van. Come and join the BUSR. We might get you a free Jet 2 holiday, if you assuming you're very gullible. And here we go. The lights are getting ready for race number 2.
Go now into 4 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. Kenjaku getting off from first place, getting off grid very, very well there. O'Leary up the inside. A lot of our drivers are absolutely flooring it down into the first corner, maybe using a little bit of push to pass to try and boost them at the start of the race. Archie O'Leary looking up the inside of Kenjaku, and there is already a spin. There's a huge bit of contact there. White getting hit from behind and spinning, crashing into another car ahead. Kenjaku and O'Leary managed to just about avoid it, but we've got White facing the wrong way. You can't park there, as he's going to be flicking the car back around. You can't really flick them around because they are front-wheel drive. TRM looks like they've had some sort of issue as well, but that has promoted they don't know, into 12th. Larson looking for a fight. We've got a bit more contact further behind. I can't tell who exactly it was. I believe it was Just Man NG and They Don't Know who were having a little bit of a bump there. Larson is down in 11th place. They've lost a position from the start. Wooly up into 9th place already. Larson's going to be trying to push as hard as they can to get those positions back. Definitely
chaos. Contact all up and down the field. We've got a fight for the lead already. Ashavi having a look around the outside of Archie O'Leary. Kenjack, you dropping right out to that front lead. They've got a new pair of front cars, and off goes multiple cars there. Off multiple cars, the pole position car and a Archie O'Leary, both off mowing the grass there, deep off into the Eiffel Forest, completely out of the lead run there. Ashavi now leads Will Butsey, who leads Maris Dallas and Owen Goldsmith there up into 4th place. As we come across for the end of a very chaotic lap 1, Will Butsey's having a think about a move on Ashavi down into turn 1 there. Thinks better of it, gets back into the slipstream, hiding away, just biding his time, having a look on the brakes, and decides better of it. No, he doesn't. He commits to the move and gets through. Will Butsey leads as we come to the end of lap 1, the start of lap 2. Will Butsey leads.
Yeah, Butsey with a fantastic move there. Ashavi just not able to keep Butsey behind, who hasn't even used any of his push-to-passes just yet. At least from what I can see on the little display there. We've got Maris Dallas just in 3rd place. You know, they have been competing right at the sharp end of things. Butsey really using that inside curb, trying to gutter run it like it's initial D to try and build that gap to Ashavi behind. It's at just about 8/10 now, and he's going to try and widen it as much as possible. I mean, Ashavi's also been really solid in their car so far this weekend. It really could be anyone's game, but ultimately Larson is going to be trying to carve his way through the field and get a really decent points-paying position to try and get him a bit further up the championship. Butsey a little wide on the exit there. We've got some really decent battles up and down the grid. White very far back. He's going to try and clinch back as many positions as he possibly can.
Absolutely. Owen Goldsmith making moves there in the background of Shubble. We're focusing on Will Butsey right now. He races Honda Civics in real life. I've seen him race them. He was rather quite good until he had a bit of an axie bump. But for now, he's leading in his Audi, which is a lovely shade of pink and yellow and black from Ashavi, the car behind there. Not just having a bit of a bump there. We're hearing that Butsey will have a proper livery from next round on rather than our default, but still very beautiful BUSR car being run by a few different cars from up and down the grid there. Everyone's very close. The gap, however, for the lead is 1.1 seconds there. We see James White putting in the fastest lap of the race. He's got a mega recovery ahead of him after lap 1. Contact saw him spud around at that very corner there. Haunting memories for him after only 4 minutes separated from that absolute disaster of start for him. He is going to be thinking, gosh darn it, this has all gone terribly wrong. I must fix this, and drive very quickly as we see They Don't Know hopping over curbs and getting generally a bit lost on the layout there. Ooh. Allowing James White to just sneak through there. Oh, definitely a wince moment there. Nearly saw him unsafely rejoining.
Yeah, that was nearly a unjoined resafe with James White being let through by the driver now in 14th place. White does have a fair bit of pace in these cars. I think They Don't Know did know that and just decided to let him by, let him run his own race. As we've got the fight now for the final podium position, P3, currently taken up by Maris Dallas with Mohammed just behind, really trying to push as much as they can. Mohammed currently with the fastest lap of the race. He's going to be pushing really hard, using the slipstream of Maris Dallas, trying to get a decent exit from the first corner. You can see just how much Maris Dallas was cutting there, as Larson makes a decent move up the inside of Hughes. He's looking to the outside into the Mercedes arena, can't make that move stick. Wooly ahead of Larson. Very good job from Wooly to get up to P6 already, 5 minutes into this race, with Larson just trying to push on behind, try and get as many points as he can, running a little bit wide, unsettling the car through that kind of chicane section there, and the exit of the Mercedes arena. With Larson is still trying to push as hard as they can. but Butsy is still leading the way, building that gap to Ashavi behind.
Very much so. Remember, this is for championship contention, technically. Although Josh Woolley did obviously disconnect in race 1, he's still very much thinking about overall wins. Aidan Larson looks up the inside, down through the very, very fast right-hander there, completely flat. Pushed to pass, very much in action there, gets up past him. He's now going to go and chase after his really only true remaining championship rival, Owen Goldsmith, who is up in 5th place. Just looking, there's a bit of gravel being kicked up there as Xavi loses out to Maris Dallas for 2nd and 3rd place, but Aidan Larson there gaining a place now. Xavi losing one. He's now got Owen Goldsmith up his backside to worry about. Will Butsy goes fastest? Then Mohammed says absolutely not. I'm having that extra bonus point for fastest lap there. Xavi right up behind there, thinking about a move. Will he make it down into turn 1? Let's have a look. What does he decide to do? He is ready for it. He makes the move. He makes it stick. Xavi gets up the inside of Mohammed to take over from, well, one of the very important places, our timing tower. Seeming to have a little bit of moving around there, shuffling around. Aidan's had Josh up into 6th place.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very solid move there from Ashavi. Very decisive, up the inside, late on the brakes, and just manages to get the car through there. I mean, Larson is still climbing up through the grid with about 2.3 second gap to Goldsmith ahead. He's going to try and whittle that down as much as he can over the next 13 or so minutes of this race. Butsy leading the way. The gap behind Tamaris Dallas increasing. I believe it's gone up to about 1.5 seconds, and he's still trying to build it. But Butsy's real-life racing experience probably playing in a little bit here. Again, I'm not sure how his Honda drives, but if it's anything like this Audi, it definitely shows.
Absolutely, he's building on that gap very nicely, very solidly ahead of Maris Dallas, who's obviously done very well, but never quite gotten to the top step of the podium, at least not today. So, you know, we'll be thinking, gosh, I'm so close to a win. How can I get it? How can I get it? How can I close that gap to Butsy? And Butsy is just driving up into the distance there. The gap is over a second now, which in touring car racing is basically a million years, because everyone else is so close behind. As you can see here, the next 3 cars, all line astern, Jet2 Holidays chasing after Owen Goldsmith, which sounds like some sort of legal dispute, but it's actually all about racing.
Yeah, definitely. And Mohammed, I mean, he looked for that move there, kind of almost up the inside of Goldsmith. Doesn't make it, but again, just trying to use all of the track, trying to get in his mirrors and just trying to force him into some sort of mistake as they exit the Mercedes arena. Now you can see Mohammed opens up the exit a little bit more, trying to just carry more speed into the hairpin. As he makes a move, well, looks up the inside of Goldsmith, knows he's not going to make that happen. Goldsmith still holding on to P4. As we're going to go back onto white with Justman NG just ahead, and there's a little bit of contact there. Very comedic timing from the cameraman there, as James White is continuing to push on after a difficult start, forced his car around. He's got Justman NG ahead of him. He's going to try and push as much as he can to make that move. White is going to be driving probably quite frustrated. It's only been about 10 minutes since that spin. You know, when you do make a mistake like that, especially at the start of the race, it does stick with you, as Goldsmith's now looking to make a move on Ashavi for P3.
Mohammed also thinking about it. This is a big tussle. Got to watch front and rear here for all of these drivers. Xavi side by side with Goldsmith down towards turn 1. Mohammed just having a little peek around the outside, maybe 3 wide into turn 1. Xavi getting mugged by Goldsmith up the inside, but it was off. There's somebody up in the back. Maris Dallas is off. That is P2 having a little trip off into the gravel there. P2 out of the race, at least, you know, out the front pack of the race, drops right down behind Archie O'Leary ahead of Alex Hughes. That puts Goldsmith up into 2nd place. That move he was making there turned out to be for 2nd place now. Leads Xavi, who leads Mohammed there. Mohammed couldn't quite make a move there. Aidan Larson running very, very deep there, just decided to try and drive off somewhere towards Belgium, I believe, but no, comes back and decides to carry on with the race.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think that might have just been a matter, a matter of late braking there, as Maris Dallas goes completely off the track, losing a lot of positions. He's going to try and scrape back as much as possible, but that might be his challenge for the lead over in this race. Butsy, well, the gap's opened up now that Maristelis is no longer in contention. 3.7 seconds is the gap, and as we've said before, a gap in touring cars like that feels like forever and a day, with Butsy leading the way in P1, Goldsmith trailing behind. A really, really decent fight happening for second place with Ashavi and Mohammed. Larson is going to be pushing as well to try and get involved. It looks like Ashavi is making a quick shuffle to the inside, trying to deter Mohammed from making that move. He was looking around the outside of the first corner. He's still got his wheels alongside, runs off the track, so that is not going to happen. But coming into the Mercedes arena they go, absolutely flying through there. Mohammed off the track, going for a little bit of an expedition there, which is, you know, not the most ideal line. Some may call it the esports line, some may call it the NASCAR line, but the stewards will call it cutting the track. So Ashavi in third place, really going to be trying to hold on to that final podium position. Mohammed chasing them down behind. Really going to be a solid fight for potentially even second place here, as Goldsmith is trying to open up that gap a little bit more. Ashavi off the track, just manages to keep the car going, but that's definitely slowed him down a little bit. Mohammed looking up the inside through Advan and into the NGK chicane they go, side by side. Mohammed around the outside into the heavy braking zone. Ashavi still has his nose up the inside, right over the curb. He wallops the car there. Mohammed off the track. Larson manages to make that move on Mohammed, who goes off the track, the curb, just launching the car. Not where you want it to go. Larson now up into fourth, maybe sniffing for a move into third place, trying to get a podium back from a P10 start. Owen is closing that gap at the front. It's now down to 2.2 seconds, and it looks like Goldsmith is going to continue to trim that down as much as possible. But, I mean, what a recovery drive from Larson into fourth place, and he's now looking for a move into third. And the exit of the Mercedes arena, looking around the outside of the final corner, can't make that stick, or can he, as Ashavi has a little bit of a wobble all the way at the right hand side of the track, trying to defend from Mohammed. A bit of contact with Aiden as well as we go two abreast. That's just forced Aiden off the line. He's still got the inside on Mohammed coming into the Michelin curve. There's more contact there and Mohammed goes off.
As Mohammed off, contact with Aiden Larson, their championship leader Aiden Larson, just deciding, I don't want to play this game anymore, and punts Mohammed off there. Not saying it was a conscious decision, that would be mean of me. But anyway, he's now running nose to tail with Josh Woolley, who is very much invisible if you look at the cars from the front there. He's having a look of the inside into the heavy braking zone of the chicane, thinks better of it after what he's just seen of the evidently viciously violent Aiden Larson, obviously no judge against his character. Just as Audi is possessed by demons as we come around the last corner now, Josh Woolley sitting behind Aiden Larson. He's going to have, well, his championship's basically over after that disconnect in race one, so he's going to be thinking, how can I make as many points back as possible, just in case something goes wrong for the next round. Now up the inside for Josh Woolley here, late on the brakes, can he get the move done? Sticks it nicely up the inside into turn one, smoking brakes, cuts the corner, loses the position back to Aiden Larson on the switchback.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to use all of the track and then some. Woolley is down in, he's battling for P4, you know, in fifth place. Again, after having started last place for this one, there's a bit of contact there between Kanjaku and White. White just really cannot catch a break as he's down in P10. Goldsmith has cut down that gap at the front to Butsy a little bit more to 1.3 seconds, so he's basically catching it by about a second a lap. So if he can continue at this pace, I think we might be seeing a battle for the lead into the final few laps of this race.
Definitely, their gap is rocketing down, and of course once the racing driver can very clearly see they're catching, the morale boost is incredible. Racing is as much about the car as it is about the mental game, and catching up to a car like Owen Goldsmith has done there with his 3 push to passes left is a humongous help to his confidence as he comes around the final corner. 4.5 minutes to go. Remember, this is a 20-minute +1 lap race, so he's still got time. Aidan Larson there also closing in on Lashavi. This is championship leader Mohammed making moves back up, recovering very well. They're getting up past Maris Dallas already before the straight even starts. The Jet2 Holidays car is back up in front of Maris Dallas. Maris Dallas has not had a great, well, had a weekend of what could have been for both of these two drivers, both of them getting punted off at various points during the race. They're back bickering into turn 1. They're getting punted very wide. Well, not punted, but driving very wide towards turn 1. They're a little twitching on the brakes. Mohammed keeps the position ahead of Maris Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, Mohammed managed to make that move very, very decisively there. And, well, I mean, goes a little bit wide there. Never mind. What a send there from Maris Dallas up the inside in the exit of Mercedes Arena. Up into 6th place. Absolutely flew by him. Mohammed down into 7th place. They're going to be looking to try and make that move back. As we're now looking at Ashavi trying to make a move here on Aidan Larson. About half a second between the two, as our timing tower's gone a bit strange there. Here we go. Maris Dallas is still trying to chase down Woolley. We've got plenty of action up and down the field. Owen Goldsmith at the front as well, catching up to Butsy really well. About half a second between those two as well. We're back on the fight for the lead. On board now with Goldsmith. Up into 4th gear on the exit of the final chicane, final hairpin, sorry, using all the revs of the car, and I mean, just it's not exactly the best sounding engine in the world, but I mean, hey, it's something. Out of the first corner they go. This is definitely an iconic touring car like noise, just rumbling. Over the curbs he goes, trying to maximise the amount of track they're using. James White sets a purple lap, so fastest of them all right now. Currently in P10, fastest lap a 31.9. I mean, a lot of our other drivers at the front of the grid are around there as well, but he's easily about a second quicker than the cars ahead. Butsy still defending first position. From Owen Goldsmith, who's got about 6/10 behind. There's only about less than 2 minutes left of this race, so I'm really excited to see what Goldsmith might have up his sleeves for the last few laps of this race.
Yep, the gap is under half a second. That is very much attacking territory for a late dive bombing torpedo-esque braking manoeuvre, as we see Butsy and Goldsmith now very close for the lead. We see on the track map there's a little bit of a gap back to 3rd and 4th place, but here we go. Butsy starting the penultimate lap. We have this one and then that extra +1 lap. He's got to do all these corners twice more to seal his debut win in the series. Goldsmith obviously well known to winning in BUSR races across different genres and different categories. Can he do it again here today to really help his championship effort, as Aidan Larson is just behind, so he will be gaining points but not a lot. Mohammed sets a new purple lap. Butsy comes through turn 1, solidifying that position with every corner he makes, every defensive move. He doesn't have to throw his time. He can make up in the save. 2 push to passes on the Butsy car will give him a little bit of a lifeline going forward. Goldsmith will have a few left, I believe, but not enough to really help him out here as Butsy comes down towards the hairpin that signifies the chopped off part. Maybe he doesn't have any, actually. I'm just hearing word that Goldsmith maybe doesn't even have any left on his car at all. So those 2 for Butsy. He has 1.
Butsy with 2 and Goldsmith with 1 push to pass remaining. So this is all going to be about really intelligently using these final bits of push to pass, putting down that extra power wherever they can, and just maximising that potential. The gap now less than 0.4 of a second. Goldsmith's right up there now.
Definitely the gap is much closer, but it's not changed. They were in exactly the same place last time round. However, Butsy has used up one of his push to passes. That little number 1 behind the B pillar signifies it is level pegging on push to passes as we come round the Coca-Cola curve for the penultimate time. Next time round we will crown our race 2 winner. Both of these cars running very close lap times. However, push to pass is now a level playing field. I'll imagine they'll both use it in the same place. Well, at least that would make this most sense to me, but never mind that. Here we go, racing down towards turn 1. Owen is using his. Butsy does not appear to be. I'm wrong and an idiot. Butsy holding the inside line from Goldsmith. He tries to sweep around the outside. There's contact Goldsmith pushed out wide. That is a very touring car. Boxed them out. They can't get around you if they're not on the track. Kind of line there from Butsy. Goldsmith down to second, where he was before coming round now. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 through this stadium section. Butsy holding on with dear life. Goldsmith, proven winner. Butsy, real life race driver. Let's see who wins.
Yeah, Goldsmith, again, proven sim racer, but we've got Butsy here who has some real-world experience with one push to pass remaining. Goldsmith has used up their last one, so I think Butsy quite handily can, he's basically got that trophy within reach. As that is something I've not seen. Kanjaku in the pit lane, maybe serving a drive-through or something? I have no idea. No penalties, so that's really confusing for me. But regardless, Butsy, through these final couple of corners, he's managed to keep Goldsmith at bay, and as long as he doesn't make any sort of big mistake, you can see just how clear of the curbs he was trying to be there. Through the Coca-Cola curve for the final time, as we see Butsy, Goldsmith just behind him. But it's Butsy who takes the win in the second race of round 7 of the Audi TT series. It's his first win of the series, I believe, with Aiden Larson finishing an incredible P3, starting in 10th place, recovering to a podium position is an incredible achievement. Ashavi in P4, Mohammed in P5, rounding up the top 5 finishers. Woolley managing to recover up to 6th place after having finished last. We've got Maris Dallas in 7th place, with Hughes in 8th, O'Leary in 9th, and James White in 10th place, followed by TRM, Kenjaku, and They Don't Know. I believe the timing tower might have just displayed incorrectly, because I think we had a driver leave before I finished reading out the finishing positions. I think that is Josh Woolley who's had... yes, it is. It's Josh Woolley who's had another internet whoopsie. So not ideal there, but at least he managed to finish the race. So
we're going to be heading over to interviews soon now with our overall winners, class winners, basically getting the lowdown of what happened and what went wrong and what went well for these drivers. But for now, there is our final order. Will Butsy won the race ahead of Owen Goldsmith and Aiden Larson. Their epic points for Aiden Larson means his championship lead is very much secure going into the final round, but Goldsmith is not one to be ruled out until the final checkered flag flies.
Definitely, and with Donington being the last round, I mean, it's a lot of our drivers are probably going to be quite familiar with that track. I think we're using is it the international layout that we're using for this final round, or? Okay, it's a national layout, which I would argue is the better layout, because it cuts off those awful final 2 hairpins. So at the final chicane, instead of going left, you're going right onto the pit straight. So finishing this off traditional BUSR style on a classic British track, I would even go so far as to say probably the best track in the UK. So, alumni, winner in race 1, it's James White. Welcome into the interview box. He had a really, really good first race, but second race just tangled in some unfortunate incidents. Tell me, what do you think? How do you think you performed this weekend? Or Monday?
It was great. I think we had some interesting racing in there today. I should probably cover race 2 first, because that was the main incident you probably saw. So yeah, going up to turn 1, I accidentally flicked my ABS off. And if you know anything about these cars, it's not a great situation. So I went fully on the brakes, as you do for turn 1, and the car did a 360. So I can only apologise for what ensued after. But apart from that, my pace was good. I think there's some unfortunate incidents, but that's racing,
Indeed it is. I mean, with the final round coming up, are you looking forward to making a return to Donington Park in the Audi TT Cup cars?
Yes, I think Donington's an absolutely amazing track for these cars. there'll be for sure some really good racing there, and I think it's a perfect way to end the season. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for speaking to us, James. We're now going to have another one of our overall or class winners in the interview box, but we'll speak to you soon.
Perfect. See you soon.
Okay, and next up, I believe we have Asher V, who was one of our other class winners. Welcome into the commentary box, Asher V. Fantastic drives out there, really, really good maneuvers that we've seen kind of up and down the grid. How do you think you performed tonight?
I was channeling my inner Alonso for defending. That's about it. I don't know what much else to say. I was trying to keep positions and it kind of worked. The second race, first race, not so much. That one will be.
And have you looked forward to Donington? Done any preparation for that, or are you going in pretty blind into round number 8?
This is a controversial opinion, but I've never liked Donington. It's a track that just doesn't vibe with me.
Does that mean you're dreading it, or?
I will practice it as much as I can, but it's highly unlikely that I'll be fighting for good positions.
Yeah, I mean, we all have strong and maybe some weaker tracks, but hopefully we'll see you challenging for even more positions at the next round.
Hopefully, but we'll see.
Okay, I think now we get up our next interviewee. Thank you for joining us, Asher V. Next up, we've got Owen Goldsmith, our student winner from second race. Owen, we've seen you win across lots of different categories in BUSR, GT3, F1, and now in these Audi Cup cars. Time and time again, you've been putting in really strong performances. So, what would you say is kind of the key to your success today?
I'll be honest, I don't really have a secret. I kind of just love sim racing, really, and just racing in general. No, my strength is more in GTs, I think, compared to F1. I can physically think and react a lot better than F1. Yeah, not really any secret, except just turning up and just doing my best, really. Just having fun.
So, like Ryan Gosling, you just drive. Are you looking forward to Donington Park? We have the national layout, which I would argue is the better, more superior layout, cutting off those final two god-awful hairpins.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
sorry for that.
No, you're completely correct. How are you preparing?
Mentally, I want to try and beat Aiden in overall. Realistically, don't know if it will happen, but no, I'll do my best. The track is good. I enjoyed it in ACC. I enjoyed it when Wadham has ran events in the past. Looking forward to it. Good car to drive, good track to drive. Not the heaviest car, thankfully.
Excellent.
I'll be looking forward to it.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Hopefully, good performances next week. And next up, we have Aiden Larson, race 1 winner and podium finisher in race 2. Really, really good job cutting through the pack there to finish up P3. How did you find your performance today?
Well, race 1, I'll say I was a little bit surprised, actually making my way down to the 31s, which I didn't know I had the pace for. So that was a very pleasant surprise. And race 2, I might have made it back to 3rd, but I have a feeling there may be a penalty coming my way. But otherwise, very happy with the performance. Much better than last week. So yeah, it feels nice to have done well again.
And do you think that bodes very well for you getting the championship in 1 week's time, or are you still a little bit nervous that Owen's reasonably close behind?
I'm still pretty stressed about Owen. He's got the points. He can do it. So, yeah, well, yes, that too. But yeah, no, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be close. Is the main thing.
Good, glad to hear, and I wish you the best of luck going forward into that next week.
Thank you very much.
We will now put our final interviewing. First time winner, Will Butsey, is joining us here in the interview room.
Oh.
Never mind, he's gone again. He's back again. Here he is, Will Butsey, race 2 winner, first time winning in the series. Will, if you're there, how do you think that went?
Yeah, I'm here.
So yeah, how do you think that went? Are you happy with your? I'm assuming you're happy.
Race 1, I was a bit anxious of what was going to happen because I'd done no testing. Like everyone else was doing quite a bit of testing. I qualified 8th and I finished 4th in race 1, so I was happy with that. And then I started 6th in race 2. Managed to miss most of turn 1 carnage as it was, and got past the other 2 that was in front of me and managed to pull out a bit of a lead, to be fair. And it was just trying to keep it together for the remainder of the 20 minutes.
And how much preparation have you done to Donington? Of course, a track you've raced in real life. Is that going to help you out, or is that a hindrance, do you think?
It does help because you sort of know what, if you've been running in real life, you sort of know roughly what you're coming up to with a sim race. But the last time I actually went to Donington, I had an absolute awful weekend. So fingers crossed, I have a better weekend on here as I would to when I drove the Civic round there.
So, I mean, a lot of people, kind of make the transition or want to make that transition from sim racing to real racing. But it sounds like for this final round, you're going the other way. So, what kind of things do you do to kind of prepare yourself for a race, real or otherwise?
Well, realistic, if you're doing it on a real race or even a sim race, if you're getting testing, and you'll be in the right spot. But 9 times out of 10, when we race the actual Civic, we don't actually test before it because of budget. So when we get a chance to test on here, you can use it in for real life as well. But, well, you just have to see what happens, to be honest. I'm not counting my chickens as of yet, but it will be quite interesting having 15 plus TTs going through the crane of curves on the first lap. Let's just leave it as that.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I think that might conclude our interview unless we have any more questions.
No, I think we're all good to wrap up the show there. It's gone 9 o'clock now. Everyone else has already gone to beddy bye, so I think we'll end it right about here. Just want to say a massive thank you to Adam for running this broadcast here. Normally racing in the championship, you might have noticed that car was missing. That's because he's been here backstage with us, whispering useful pieces of information and sometimes useless pieces of information into our ears. So thank you very much to Adam for doing the broadcast. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it has been another fantastic race here at BUSR. And hopefully we'll see more of the same time next week here on the BUSR YouTube channel. I have been Frey, joined by Dan, and as mentioned before, Adam on the broadcast. Unfortunately, having to step out for this round from racing, but I think he's done a phenomenal job, so we can all give him a little round of applause. Do it right now on the other end of your screen. We'll I'll trust that you've done that. As we're going to round off this broadcast, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you